an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unscrupled, covering Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 7, Episodes 9 and 10. Never Leave Me and Bring on the Night. In these episodes, shit finally happens. Welcome to Unscrupled. Well, who the fuck are you?
I'm Bitches, and who the fuck are you?
I'm Money, and together we are Bitches and Money.
Yeah. I hate you. God, I hate you so much. Why?
Why do you hate me? You fucked it up just as much as I did.
I didn't fuck up anything. You fucked up
We're not in the same
everything.
room, y'all. So when we can't look at each other's faces and get the right cues, we can't get this shit right. And Bitches is taking it out on me because
I blame you.
We have this problem every time we're not in the same room, and yet she tries to gaslight me and tell me it's all my fault.
What is happening to this relationship?
I don't know. So, let's get to the point. All right.
Okay.
How did you feel about these episodes, Bitches?
I feel really neutral about them. I feel like, even though you feel like stuff happened, I feel like not very much happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, when this show is like spinning its wheels, we'll have these little side tracks where Xander and Anya will like do a thing that's cutesy and weird. And,
yeah.
But the cutesy and weird thing they did here was kind of like in service to the actual plot, and all of the other characters are having it's all centralized and it all makes up pieces of a bigger puzzle. And also, it's throwing things at us that it has built up to before. Like, here's a bunch of potential slayers and you saw a lot of them get murdered earlier in the season, instead of, oh, here's a giant snake, or here's a box of spiders. That's totally part of our plan, even though we just came up with it 30 minutes before it was time to start filming, you know?
Gotcha. So you're stoked because shit's starting to pay off.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like they put when they were writing, they'll say, okay, here's a thing, and we'll figure out what the thing is later. Like, no, they know what the thing is. And they're keeping that in mind when they write the previous episodes, rather than, like, making it open-ended enough that it fits with anything.
Yes. Okay, that's something I can appreciate.
What I did not like is that they gave us the most boring, white bread, annoying teenage mini-Buffys that they could find.
Yes.
Like, here's a punk German girl who, like, clearly was trying to riff on that Run Lola Run aesthetic. Or here's a nice young Latinx woman somewhere in South America who speaks a different language. Both of those would have been better options than these two Brits with the worst accents I've ever heard. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't remember their names, and I don't care. I think one of them is the whitest version of brunette I've ever seen.
That might have been Annabelle.
Was she the one who died?
Yeah, with the straight white hair, and she was like, no, we're safe, we're so safe, because we're with the Slayer. And then she ran off into the night.
I wasn't thinking about her. I was thinking about the non-British one.
Oh, that's Kennedy.
Yeah, Kennedy is clearly, like, they're trying to, like, look, we can mix it up with their version of ethnic is someone who has brown hair.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah. 100%.
I do not care about these bitches at all.
No. There's nothing to care about so far.
Yeah, so I'm sad that we lost the other potential slayers who look far more interesting.
Yeah, well, they kill them off most interesting first. So, yeah.
Really? Because I did not care about... I was like, please, vampire, please kill her so I don't ever have to look at her again. Because she's my least favorite.
She was interesting by comparison. She had inner beauty.
Sure.
I'm just making things up now. It's okay. So, okay, we've got, like, potential slayers happening in this episode. What else did you enjoy?
I liked that Andrew crossed paths with the Scooby Gang, particularly Willow.
Oh, yeah, he just fucking stumbled into her.
He's a minion of this dark force, and he's trying to do his minion duties, and he fucks it up because, like the man he killed, he's just a giant fuck-up. And this complicates everything, because now Willow has to restrain herself from ripping his skin off, which she totally can do, and he totally deserves. And, like, she's already proven there's no consequences for killing people other than you have to go to horse rehab for a few months, which... and get to learn more spells.
Yeah,
it's like being suspended from school. I was bad at school, and I get less school?
Yeah, that's fair. But, yeah, all you have to do is flay a guy, and you can, grow ever more powerful.
Right.
That's fine.
So, yeah. What were your opinions of this episode?
I found this one pretty boring second time around. I find it's a lot of exposition, which I can see why that would be good for you, because you don't know what's going on, but I do. So for me, it's just like, oh, okay, Spike's insane, and we think getting a soul made him insane or something, and he's hungry, and now Andrew's here. And now we're beating up Andrew, and that's fun. But, okay, Onion and Xander are working together. Are they going to get back together romantically? Who's to say? And where the fuck is Giles? And through it all, Buffy's, like, not really... She's getting her ass kicked real good by that one vampire, but, like, Xander's fixing the house. I feel like it's a normal Tuesday.
Yeah, they're always dealing with some kind of apocalypse, but they've kind of been throwing it as this is bigger than anything they've ever faced, and it feels like the writers are finally taking that seriously. It doesn't have to be a bigger threat to the world than we've ever faced before, but it does have to be more complicated and require more brain power to fathom. And
okay.
That's where they are succeeding.
Ah. So we did find out a bit about this season's big bad. What did we find out?
Well, we found out that it is the first. The first what? I'm not entirely sure. They weren't very consistent about that.
Yeah. They said at one point that, well, Buffy said when she figured it out, not sure where she's pulling any of this from, but she figured out that it's the first evil. So...
Yeah, I thought, when she said the first, I thought, do you mean the first Slayer? Because that would actually be interesting.
That would be fucking interesting.
So, I'm hoping that they can circle back, and I know I hated the first Slayer concept the first time around because it was a weird Neanderthal ghost. If they're going to dive into lore, like the first Slayer fought the first evil, and from there all this shit branched out, like that I can get into.
Like some Pandora's Box shit?
I don't know about Pandora's Box. Like, you never watched Carnival, but Carnival actually had a really fascinating lore about how Eve was the alpha and she had two children who were, one was good and one was evil, and they had children who were also good and evil, except the good and evil would swap every generation, and you never knew which end you were going to be on, and, like, that's kind of... Yeah, so...
Wow,
like,
that sounds super cool.
Yeah, it was. Tragically, it was cut way the fuck short. So, and they... So, yeah, I'm kind of into, like, where did this shit come from? How did it play out at the time? What are the lasting effects? How can you make changes? How can you break the cycle? This is good shit. And also, the evil is interested in breaking the cycle. It's like, so I need to do some evil, and Slayers keep getting in my way, so I need to get rid of the Slayers. And he's got kind of like, it feels really obnoxious to me to have to like track down all the potential Slayers and make sure they're all dead before you take out the current Slayers. And it seems on par with getting rid of a bedbug infestation. Because you never know if you missed one, right? And if you did, all your work is for nothing. So I'm kind of into this whole thing, right?
Right.
So solving this problem is not easy. I like it when the villains have challenges.
Okay. Well, this villain totally has a challenge because apparently there's quite a few potential Slayers out there.
Yeah.
And I honestly want to hear more about what it takes to be a potential Slayer. Like, do you have to be between certain ages? Like, is there any kind of like background you've got to have? Do you have to have something happen in your childhood that like marks you as a Slayer? Like, what is it that creates that potentiality within you? That would be fascinating for me.
I always assumed it was genetic. It's a recessive gene.
But like, are there 40-year-old potential Slayers?
I honestly think there might be. So, yeah. And Slayers don't really have a retirement option.
Yeah, but I mean, I would think that you'd be able to age out of the potentiality program.
I don't think that you would.
Well, what if the next like Slayer that awakens is like 65 and living in Florida?
See, I don't think that happens because what we've learned here is somehow Faith and Buffy and Faith are the outliers. They did not come in contact with the Watcher's reach until they were fully mature. It seems that all the others are located and groomed. So I bet if you don't awaken, you're still put to work defeating evil, even without your Slayer powers. So I don't think they get to be that age anyway.
So how come Buffy and Faith weren't picked up? Like, Kendra got some fucking training. What the fuck? Watchers Council.
I don't know. Like,
they really suck at this.
I'm not sure that... Yeah, I mean, maybe their reach just isn't that good in America.
That's totally fair. We are a quagmire.
Also, Jamaica is a former British colony. Of course they're going to have their fucking evil white people tentacles still in there.
Yeah, that's fair.
The only thing that can get rid of evil white people tentacles is another evil white empire to cut them off.
Huh. Like
America.
Like us, yay!
Exactly. Like, fuck off, Brits. I can totally see the British having trouble locating Slayers. Like, either, let's see, where would they have trouble?
Oh, just the fact that they're British guys trying to locate teenage girls.
Well, let's look at the members of Parliament. They have no trouble with that. But they'd have trouble in America. They'd probably have trouble in Japan and Australia, too. Because they're like, fuck off, Brits. We don't trust a goddamn thing you want to do. So.
That's fair. Yeah. Okay. So, should we go through our characters?
I'm not sure going through the characters is going to be useful here because everyone's sort of up to the same thing.
Okay, what are they up to?
They're like, this is a series of events that happens to our group. These are not separate things that sort of branch off. Like, every once in a while we get like one scene of them by themselves doing something with someone else, but it all comes right back to the main branch of the story. This isn't like, Xander is not dealing with a demon infestation in his new apartment. Dawn is not having difficulty with her classmates, which I really would love to see again. Like, pretty much the Scooby Gang is pretty fucking united, and everyone's in touch and on the same page. I don't think talking about them individually is super helpful because they're all experiencing the same thing. We'll just be talking about the same thing 7 times.
Okay.
What
about... That does make sense. So what are they all doing together?
So, refresh me. It's been 2 days, and I'm not allowed to look at the... I'm not allowed to look at the recaps because there might be spoilers. So
I can tell you what's going on. Okay. So there's a few things going on. Mostly, to begin with, it's like folks just kind of living their life. Willow does run into Andrew and brings him home to, torture. And Buffy is hanging out with Spike and his insanity. Yeah. So Buffy and Spike have some interesting moments in this, where Buffy confesses something in this early episode. And what she confesses is that she believes in Spike and she thinks he can beat this and whatever.
Yeah, this was the least interesting part of the episode for me because I don't want to rehash all the screaming I've done, but why do you fucking believe in Spike?
That's fair.
And I feel so fucking vindicated in that Spike has a soul and he's still preying on women. So guess what? Spike's soul always sucked. He was always an incel MRA bullshitter. He just wasn't powerful enough to be dangerous. And now that just because you gave him his old soul back he doesn't feel bad about it. He feels bad that Buffy doesn't like him.
Well, he keeps saying he can't remember when this stuff happens and that he's being triggered. I take it you don't buy it.
I do buy it. I just don't care.
Okay.
You have proven yourself to be dangerous, Buffy. He tells you he doesn't remember. That means he's not going to be a good source of information. He tried to rape you. Stake him. This is over. Keep his dust on your mantelpiece if you want to, and look at it with shame at the vampire you couldn't save. I don't give a shit. That is an emotional journey for after this show is over. Okay.
Well, it seems as though the only person who agrees with you is Anya. So, and it suddenly all makes sense why you've loved her so this whole time. Okay, it made sense before, but now even more so.
Yeah. Anya is Anya's not interesting because like that first episode of Dead Like Me, her character is rotting. There is nothing for her to do. So she's just kind of there.
I don't know. I thought she did a bunch of stuff. She tried to convince Xander to get back on the Spike train, which he's not on for some unknowable reason. She got to beat up Andrew, and she really went for it, too.
None of that was required or provided any character growth or moves her further along a character arc. She's stuck.
Okay, that's totally fair.
All of those roles could be played by someone else.
Okay.
Especially since Giles is back in the picture. I feel like if anyone in the room is not going to be attached to Spike and think he has to die, Giles would be the first one. Anya, I would expect, would be like, don't kill the evil people, because then she'd be worried about them turning to her.
Yeah, because if you're going to kill rogue vampires, justice demons are next.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's see. The other thing that happens in this episode is that all of a sudden rogue figures attack the Scooby Gang. They're just chilling in the house, and all of a sudden there's a bunch of dudes there trying to kill them.
Okay, I don't think this is all of a sudden, because we've seen these fuckers tracking down Slayer candidates. Mm-hmm. So they're organized. They know how to lay an ambush. We've only seen 2 of them being chased. And thing about Slayers is, especially the trained ones, is they're constantly armed. And these were put in a position where they had to flee instead of fight. That is hard to do. These people have been established as having their shit together and planning ahead. So I don't feel like it's out of nowhere. Okay, that's totally fair.
They managed to fight off the robed figures. Meanwhile, Principal Wood finds Jonathan's body on that seal underneath the school and takes it out to the woods and buries it.
I am totally into this.
Yeah? What do you think's going on with him?
I don't know what's going on, but I like that there is another thing going on. So okay. I hope it's not I feel like he should know who Jonathan is. Because Jonathan is, I mean, he has to have looked into the history of this high school. Mm-hmm. Because it literally blew up. Also,
yeah.
A giant snake literally ate the last principal. So he would probably look into who are some of the key players that I have to watch out for. And have you seen Dazed and Confused?
No.
Okay. Okay, so there's a character played by Matthew McConaughey, and it's played off as a joke, but it's incredibly creepy. And he's a lot older than all the other than all the other characters who are all in high school. And so there's a throwaway line where he's standing leaning on his car and says, "I love high school girls, man. I keep getting older. They keep staying the same age."
Wow.
Yeah. Now, imagine that you are the principal of this high school. Are you in that pretending space right now?
Okay, yeah. I'm pretending real hard.
Okay. Now imagine that you went down to the basement after a hard day of trying to keep these fucking teenagers from killing each other, and you find a known predator dead on a dirt floor.
Huh, fair. Okay.
See what I'm getting at? And he's like,
yeah.
This is an unequivocal good thing that this fuck-up who, took a sniper rifle into a tower and then cast spells on the town and, is on the run, wanted for murder, is dead.
Yeah.
I don't want the person who killed him to get in trouble. I don't want a police investigation in here because I'm afraid some of my students might get popped for having weed and ruin their lives. I'm going to deal with this body, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. You know why? Because he sucked.
And I'm honestly not going to question anyone about the giant health mouth-looking seal in the basement.
He's not been around, so...
okay.
Goth was evolving here.
Okay.
So it's not that much more creepy than something any goth girl would draw in her English textbook.
Okay, that is fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right then. I see your point of view, and I can see there are some totally not creepy, vaguely creepy, but not as creepy reasons he could have hid the body. Okay.
So so that was me. I know that's not what's going on. Clearly he's got some reason for wanting there not to be a dead body in the school other than cleanliness issues and discovery. But there doesn't have to be. It totally makes sense without it. So.
Okay. Honestly, I kind of want that to be what happens now. That would be pretty funny. It's nah, dude, I just didn't want the school to get bad PR, and, I didn't want the police here, and this just seemed easier.
Yeah. And
yeah.
He's whoever killed him, he definitely had it coming.
Yeah.
So, do we really need to traumatize them again?
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. So after this, we do find out that the hooded figures who were attacking the house were just there for Spike the whole time, and they make off with his pale ass.
Yeah, but not before he tries to eat Andrew.
Oh, he tries to eat a lot of people in this episode and fails every time.
I'm really glad he failed to eat Andrew, because I was really worried they were just going to tie off a loose end like that. And I'm no, you need to keep Andrew here because, Andrew is stupid, and I like him fucking up, and I like watching his dumb gay ass fall on his face. And I kind of liked seeing the not ghost of Jonathan and Warren fucking with him, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's another thing I like about this evil creature, is that it's using these psychological manipulation techniques and talking to people where they're vulnerable. Also, it's clearly staying within the rules of it needs to stay within the form of people who have died here. And it's fudging the rules a little bit because Drusilla was undead and Spike was undead and Buffy got better. But still, it has remained within the constraints here. It's not doing like Glory. Like, Glory's a god. She can just fucking do anything. Here she's going to do something that we've laid no groundwork for.
All of that is incredibly fair. And yeah, I do like I like their definition of death. It's like if you've died once or twice, that counts as having died and he can use your image.
It even seems to be a little more specific than that, is that your corpse without a heartbeat has to be present at some point for me to get the ingredients I need to copy you.
Okay. Which, all those folks have, so it makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. So, does anything else happen in this episode? Let me figure that out real quick. Oh yeah, the Watchers Council. Buffy totally calls them to say, hey, we could use some Giles-shaped backup right about now.
Yeah, and the Watchers Council cannot get a hold of Giles.
Oh yeah, they can't. They're really... They're having some issues with that.
I feel like all that's going on is that Giles is on a plane and the Wi-Fi's too expensive.
There wasn't Wi-Fi back then. Remember?
They did have, I do remember, and they did have the swipe your credit card to send a one-page email. And everyone was like, I am not paying $4 to send a one-page email.
Oh, there's totally people who paid $4 to send a one-page email.
Giles is not one of them. Giles is many things that I don't like, but paying for that stupid credit card swipe phone in the middle seat of your plane, yeah. I feel like he was just in transit going to Sunnydale because he knows that the Watchers Council is fucking stupid and incompetent, and look at how many assets they've lost. I'm getting the ones I have left, and I'm getting them to Sunnydale where we can regroup and have some strength in numbers.
Good job, Giles.
So I feel like he was just on a plane, and that's why they couldn't get a hold of him.
That makes sense. Okay. Meanwhile, Spike's being tortured. Ta-da! The end.
All right. Here's what I didn't like about these episodes.
Yeah?
There is clearly a writer who is really into BDSM writing with a boner. Because there's some very specific scenes of men tied to chairs and being brutalized by women. And it's not cute.
Yeah, there's a lot of people being tied up and beat up in this.
Yep.
And it's usually Spike. And, I'm okay with kicking the Spike, but yeah, it just gets all gratuitous. And also Andrew, but he gets slapped around and bitten once.
I mean, he gets slapped around by a woman while he's tied to a chair. And then Spike gets tied to a chair, and the creature changes into a woman before beating the crap out of him. So...
Okay, that's fair.
Fair. This is too much to be a coincidence. I can't look it up on IMDb, but whoever you are, writer, I got your number. This wasn't very subtle.
It was written by Marty Noxon and Douglas Petrie.
One of you has a bondage and humiliation and degradation fetish.
I think it's Douglas, because Marty is spelled in a way that suggests feminine.
Or it could be French.
Could be French.
Yeah. There's
French
a lot of background noise going on. You okay back there?
Yeah, I'm okay. I have a Brie walking through the room because it's the coolest room in the house.
Hi, Brie.
Hi! Bye! All right. All done.
So, yeah, I did not like that part. And there's also I guess we're supposed to feel bad for Spike, but the whole time I was just questioning, why does vampire blood work just as well as human blood?
What do you mean by that? For what?
opening the seal.
Oh, I think because Spike's chock full of, like, blood in general.
Because he's been gorging himself for the last week?
Yeah. And what I want to know is, why did they think pig's blood was going to work as well as human blood? Or does it matter? Can it be just any old blood? And if so, why bother killing, why bother killing Jonathan at all? You could have just gone to the butcher.
So the butcher, I did not interpret that as, unless I missed a scene, I interpreted that as Andrew realizing he doesn't have the stomach for more murder, so he tries to do the Spike thing. Or tries to do the angel thing and go get some big pig's blood.
Yeah. But the pig's blood was so that he could put it on the seal and open it.
Right, but what I'm saying is I think he did that without instructions from the first. Like, the first told him to go get more blood, and he's like, well, I'm not going to go kill a human. I'm going to get some pig's blood. So I don't think that the first thought that pig's blood would work. I think that Andrew thought that pig's blood would work, or at least would get him off the hook. See what I'm getting at?
No, the first was totally trying to get him to slaughter that adorable little pig that looks like Babe. So the first is
right. I forgot about that.
Blood part. Yeah.
Because it's stupid.
Because it's stupid.
Yeah, it was really dumb.
Yep. But in that scene, they established that animal blood's totally on the table. I think the first doesn't really differentiate between types of blood and what that means. I think he just thinks blood is blood.
So we're gendering the first now?
Well, I am.
Okay. So, what's up?
Oh, I'm hungry. My stomach just gurgled, and I think the mic picked it up.
Well, I didn't catch that. So, so the thing opens when they bleed Spike, and I guess that makes sense, but it just feels like they're putting Spike through a lot of pain trying to trigger our sympathy response, and I'm so over Spike.
Yeah, I couldn't really feel bad for Spike getting the shit kicked out of him by Drusilla. Like, whatevs. He's a dick. He's such a dick. Anyway, so yeah, back at Buffy's house, Dawn and Anya are helping Buffy question Andrew with, violence and mind games and stuff, and I feel like mind games are kind of wasted on Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew's not very smart. They do the good cop, bad cop thing, and it was nice to see a little chemistry between...
Xander and Anya did that last episode. In this episode, Dawn and Anya play mind games with him. It does work. It does indeed work, and he does lead them to the basement of the school where they find the seal, and it's covered in all kinds of blood. And they're like, where the fuck did this come from? And Andrew's like, I didn't leave that here because there's a giant torture wheel and all kinds of shit. So anyway, yeah. They cover the seal up again with some shovels that they find and try to, kind of sneak out. And they meet Principal Wood.
And he's like, I am totally not being suspicious with the shovel. And Buffy is like, I am also totally not suspicious in the basement. And this is a moment where any other principal would probably say, Buffy, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, but not Principal Wood. No, sir.
Principal Wood, and here's another, again, I am putting myself in this position, and I'm going to come up with a plausible explanation why he wouldn't interrogate Buffy on what's going on.
Okay.
Because he is a black man in Southern California and doesn't want any of this white lady bullshit.
Okay, that is fair.
Which is, So, yeah, I feel like a white principal probably would have started some shit. But he's like, I just buried a body. I am a black man. This clearly suspicious, untrustworthy white woman and her little sister are doing some shit in the place of business after hours. I am not going to question it because this will inevitably get my ass fired and hauled off to jail. Also, I don't want to know what you're doing here, 'cause it's not good. Because you're not trustworthy. You're just going to get me pulled into your vacuum of bullshit.
Okay. It sounds like you have some feelings.
I don't really have some feelings. I'm just like, they're playing all of this off as like, Principal Wood, there is clearly something going on. And what I feel like there's a very plausible explanation that Principal Wood is a man who has a job, wants to keep it, and doesn't want to get shot by the police. Like, it's not that big of a stretch for me.
All of that is totally fair. So after
I know none of that's true because this show doesn't know how to do that, but...
White people didn't think about a black person's experience in the world back then, or at least not
you didn't.
People.
And you know what? There's a black person right there that you could fucking ask. So...
Okay. So back at the house, Willow's trying to use magic to find stuff. And it goes terribly, terribly wrong. And for a second there, she grows a demon head and shoots bolts of lightning at Buffy. Xander, being the only one who's got his head on straight today, who knew, goes and gets her magic bull and shoves it against a wall and breaks it.
Yeah.
And Willow returns to normal and it's just like, I maybe shouldn't touch the magics for a hot minute because my control's not so great.
And you maybe, Willow, should not be alive. And I'm like, I'm trying to go on with this show's redemptive arcs of shit.
Yeah.
But clearly, we just demonstrated that super all-powerful witch who once decided to destroy the world because she had a sad does not retain control easily. And there's a being that likes to control people. And it just demonstrated that when it controls people, it has full access to their magic powers. Get Willow the fuck out of here or kill her. Like, she's too fucking dangerous.
Take her
is too fucking dangerous. Like, the Anya is probably too fucking dangerous. Either get them out or kill them. Like, these are not good things to have around when there's an apocalypse bearing down. You know who the one person I feel like doesn't need to be killed or extradited?
Who?
Andrew. You know why? 'Cause he's fucking useless. He can't get anything right.
He's not useless. He killed Jonathan real good.
And it didn't work!
Yeah. There's nothing he can't fuck up.
I feel like leaving and cutting Andrew loose and letting the first have free reign over him to do whatever the fuck will only set the first back.
That's kind of fair. He's the worst henchman, man.
That's terrible.
So about this time is when Giles shows up with his 3 potential Slayer helpmates.
Oh god, that was so, I'm all for a show with a very high woman-to-man ratio.
Yeah.
But the women need to be interesting. I wouldn't even give these characters a full dimension. I don't know their names. I don't know their personality traits. I couldn't even tell you their hair colors. I know one of them is a brunette because they're trying to make her look ethnic in comparison to the other two.
Yeah, again, that's Kennedy. So yeah, they have a little moment where they're like, well, what do we do? And Willow's like, well, I guess you're sleeping over. We'll get you settled. And meanwhile, the potential Slayers are kind of freaking out because folks are dying and they're not used to that.
Have we lost the Watchers Council yet?
At this point, not yet, but the potentials know that they're being hunted.
Okay.
Because all of their other little potential pen pals are gone. Yeah. So they're kind of freaked out.
Yeah.
Yep. They have their little freak out moment, and then, in the meantime, they're also, figuring out who's going to sleep where, at which point Kennedy, the pseudo-ethnic one, is showing some definite interest in sleeping with Willow.
Is that what's going on?
Yeah, that was supposed to be gay.
Okay, because...
Remember in the early 2000s when you couldn't be overtly gay and you had to be subtly gay?
Yeah, but I'm pretty good at picking up gay.
This
is not a matter of the show not conveying it properly. This is a matter of me not caring.
That's totally fair. So Buffy and Giles are like, well, I guess we have to investigate somehow. So they end up going to that one Christmas tree lot where Buffy found the robed dudes originally.
Yeah.
And Buffy falls in a hole, like you do, and meets some kind of fucked up uber vampire.
Yeah, that was gross. But I'm trying to figure out how I feel about this uber vampire, because they've kind of done this thing before where we have this super dangerous beast that is the problem. And we've seen it with the Master, and we've seen it with Glory. Neither of them, and we've seen it with Adam. None of those antagonists worked. The ones that do are the Anguluses and the mayors of the world, who are pulling strings and trying to achieve goals that make goddamn sense. So I'm really, really glad that they brought this thing out, and it's not the first, it's just a thing that the first intends to use.
Okay, that's totally fair. What do you think about it coming out of their ass in the way that it does?
Coming out of their ass? What do you mean?
I mean that there was no mention of the possibility of stronger vampires before this. There were just, really old vampires, other stuff. And now Giles is like, oh, I thought it was a myth. I've read about it my whole watcherhood. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, this is it would be very nice if they would introduce a antagonist that they actually have no data on. So you can't say they predate written history and then say, oh, but here's some things I've heard. Right?
Right.
I kind of want them to be in the dark and have to trial and error and see what works.
I feel that, but
I feel like the exposition needs to come from the bad guy, not from books.
Okay. But if something predates written history, that doesn't mean that you can't write about it after you invent writing.
That is, but it's also shit written about it is going to be extremely difficult to find. I would like there to not be an answer in a book. That's why I liked the Watchers Council blowing up. There is no more institutional support. You are on your own. You have been cut loose. The bad guy has successfully cut out your support network. All that's left are you and your friends, and you've got to figure this out. Drawing from Giles read about something that happened before there was written word feels like in violation of that, right? Mm-hmm. Their institutional support is gone, and yet they still get these nuggets from it. It feels like cheating, you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fair. Let's see. Do we want to talk about the scene where the Watchers Council gets all fucked up? Did you have any feelings about those people? We met a lot of
feelings. I did have feelings about Lydia, because the camera spent a lot of time lingering on her and her reaction. So I was like, okay, Lydia, are you going to call Giles? Are you Giles's man on the inside? Are you going to be sent on a mission to find the latest Slayer and make contact with her. But no, she gets blown up with everyone else. So it was a little bit of a red herring that I'm like, oh, here's a woman in an office setting. They gave her a name. They spent time on her, and boom, she's gone. So.
Yeah.
She felt like a kind of Lila-esque. It's like, we know her name. We know she's there. We know she's going to be important later.
Okay.
But apparently not, because it fucking blows up. And the CGI was stupid, but I like the fact that what's left of the group is on their own now. Also, I don't like I don't like
those are. Well, no, you never like institutional authority,
especially when they're run by old white colonists or colonizers.
That's totally fair. I have a problem with old white colonizers as well. Okay, and after that, pretty much the episode is Buffy getting the shit kicked out of her by Uber Vamp, and Drusilla kicking the shit out of Spike.
Yep. So, I've only ever liked Drusilla once.
And it all...
What's up?
Oh, you only ever liked Drusilla once? When was that?
That was when she killed Kendra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's you.
But she'd been such a helpless fucking baby and a space cadet that it was nice to see her actually be a threat and be competent. And it was a giant disappointment when she came back and she was still so fucking spacey she couldn't hold a conversation or do anything.
Yeah, that's a fucking bummer.
So yeah, she peaked with killing Kendra.
Okay, totally fair. So the episode ends with Buffy making an inspirational speech. How'd you feel about that?
I actually liked this. I think you probably expected me to hate it, but I was like, no, this is your speech at the end of the movie. Like, we're gonna fight this fucking evil.
Okay, I feel it. And yeah, she gives her speech, and they all seem to, fortify, and that's the end of our episode.
Yeah, and so there's two things. Like, one, I wanted to mention. One, it is very curious that no one seems to give a shit about Annabella being dead.
I think it's just one more on the pile of dead women.
And two, I feel incredibly vindicated. I know that Faith is coming back because they wouldn't have name-dropped her if they couldn't get her back or didn't want to write her in the story. They probably would have had a throwaway scene where they're invading the LA County Jail.
Okay.
Because, like, with this logic, Faith is very much an important part of this. So.
Okay. They have name-dropped Faith a couple of times in episodes past without us seeing a Faith.
Yes, but they haven't said, like, here, this person, Faith, is very important to the plot that is going on right now.
That's fair. Okay.
So I don't feel like they can get out of this without either killing Faith or bringing her back on screen, or both.
Which one do you hope for?
I kind of want her back.
Okay. She did bring a certain something to the show.
She did.
I think it's called breasts.
That wasn't what I was looking for, but...
Also attitude and, all kinds of fun, and she's kick-ass, and I love everything about Eliza Dushku. Anyway,
So, so here is what is missing from this episode, and it is a giant fucking oversight.
Okay, go for it.
This is a very good time for a goddamn crossover. I really need to weave the apocalypse going on in LA together with the apocalypse going on in Rancho Cucamonga, because they are 90 minutes drive from each other, and these are demons that would either A, be in competition with each other, or B, team up.
You got end of the world on my end of the world.
Yes.
Oh, no.
I want all the Scooby Gang to come together and regroup. I want to mix and match who's hanging out with who. I want Fred to die.
Oh, man.
I want Gunn to go off into this good night and start a gang in New York and protect people from the NYPD. So.
Ooh, that would be a good end for Gunn. Yeah.
That would be a really good end for Gunn. Yeah, so that's how I feel about these episodes. How do you feel about them?
The same as I did at the beginning, that you learn a lot in these, but as far as stuff happening, I don't know. I feel like we just keep visiting the same places over and over again and getting attacked by whatever demons around.
I mean, that's fair, but I just feel like building it up and planting seeds and having them pay off, it goes so far for me. Because I keep going back to the spiders example, but it's it's really important what's in the box. It's really important what's in the box. What's in the box? Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. It's a spider. Eat it.
Yeah.
Isn't that gross?
Yes. And I agree that these episodes are totally necessary in order to have a big payoff later. Mm-hmm. But yeah, sometimes when you know what the payoff is, slogging through them again is kind of, rough.
So here's what there's two things that can happen that I'm going to hate.
Okay.
One is that this is going to be wrapped up in the mid-season finale, which is the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
The other is going to be that it's going to do the glory thing and just kind of spin their wheels and not make any progress for several episodes because it has 22 to fill.
Yes, and these are only episodes 9 and 10.
Yeah. Did this season have a full 22?
I believe so. Let me check real quick.
We're not up against the season finale.
Yes, 22.
Okay, so they still have 13 episodes to go, which is an entire season of a television today. So
yeah.
So yeah, they're this. Given where this is and how much longer the show has to go, it can either blow its load and then we're going to spin our wheels, or it's going to try and mix in the spinning our wheels. I don't think it can keep up this pace of finding shit out and raising the stakes the whole time.
Okay. I guess we're going to find out.
I really want to see the Angel crew and the Buffy crew trying to manipulate, spoilers for a 2.5-year-old movie, guys. I kind of want them to pull a Thor Ragnarok and summon one demon to fight another. Get that demon that's fucking up LA to come down to Rancho Cucamonga and fuck up Rancho Cucamonga and destroy the entire goddamn town. Destroy the Hellmouth.
Okay.
I'm totally okay with that.
That'd be pretty sweet, actually. I mean, the town has seen enough trouble that it's really just held together with, plywood in space.
I feel like Jon Snow at the end of Dance with Dragons right now, stop sending men to save the people at Hardhome. It's a lost cause. I'm like, Buffy, move. This town cannot be saved. It's not worth it. Just go elsewhere.
Yeah, there's other terrible places you can live.
Yeah, and Buffy's doing a fine job of keeping the evil at least contained and tamped down in Rancho Cucamonga. It's not stopping a whole bunch of evil apocalypses and shit in LA, so I'm not sure what purpose you're actually serving here. You're not saving the world. So it's time to write it off.
Let this town go, Buffy.
Make an
let it go.
announcement. Say you're a slayer. I've killed 1 billion things. There's vampires all the time. Go dig up the graves of people. You're going to find that they're gone because they turned into vampires and I killed them. If you don't believe me, I guess I'll see you in heaven. But bye. I'm leaving.
That's completely fair. Well, I think those are our episodes.
Those are our episodes, and I'm kind of into them, and I didn't think I would be getting, super into Buffy at this point.
Okay, well, we'll see if it can maintain this pace.
Yeah, let's see that. So, just to give you listeners some background, I am still at the office. Chris is not, because she decided to take the day off. You know why she decided to take the day off? Because she's not insane. I'm not that familiar with the concept of a mental health day, so we are speaking to each other across Skype. And that means that I am still at the office, and it is 7 p.m., and I want to go home. So...
Get the fuck out of there, man.
Do you have anything else to add?
No, I'm good.
All right, bye!
Bye!
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.